Hi everyone. Now it is October, and in the world of Warhammer that means it's Orktober. So the tradition is you have to paint an orc in this month. Also, as tradition, no one will watch this video because everybody only wants to see 3D printing videos from me. But I don't care. I like orcs. I'm going to paint one anyway. And I think I've got quite a good one this time round. I've got a 1989 Space Ork. So we're talking old school, over 30 years old, and it's a Bad Moon's Boss. It's quite a famous model, this one, and it's getting quite pricey now. Yeah, you'd be lucky to just pick up this single model for, less than 30 quid. Now, this guy originally came on, I think it's a 28mm base, a nice slot base here, but you can see he does not stay in that base at all, and also the base is way too small. So what I'm going to do is give him a larger base. I've got a set of mixed bases from Citadel, and I'm going to choose a 32mm base, which will be much more appropriate for him. So it means I'm going to have to snip this off and then attach him. I will glue and pin him. Now there's a little bit of flash here and there on the model which will need cleaning up before I begin the work on it. So let's snip this bar off the bottom, clean him up a little bit and attach him to a base. Okay, so I'm now ready to start painting this guy. As you can see, I have primed him a nice light grey, and I've also textured the base with some sand, which I just super glued down. Now, I'm not going to go through and do a step-by-step painting process as I often do, because I know that most people who watch this channel aren't likely to be painting in miniatures, but nevertheless, there are still some areas that, I can explain, which I think will help with painting no matter what models you're painting. Now, the first part is working out where to start. So the first part of the model I'm going to block in is all the armor panels. Now to do this, I'm going to use some of this contrast Imperial Fist colour. I've not used this before. In fact, I haven't really used contrast paints before, but I'm seeing online people are getting good results with them, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. Now, as I understand, these colours work best over a very light primer, which is what I've used here. So I'm just going to start layering this on, see how we go. Imperial Fist contrast paint has now dried, and it's not too bad, but I think we can do a little bit better with that yellow. So I'm going to go over it with a little bit of Moon Yellow from Citadel. Now you can also see I have put in the black, and that's just because I like to lay down some of the darker colours first, just to make it a little bit easier, in case I need to cut back on any colour. Now that Bad Moon Yellow contrast paint has dried, but it wasn't still bright enough for me, so I have done a dry brush over the top of that using some Moon Yellow from Vallejo. So now I'm ready to just start blocking in some of the bigger colours. I'm going to start off with some leather brown, and I'm going to block this in for the jacket. here is the model. What I've done is got most of my base colours applied, so you can see from the front and the back. Now what I would say is this is kind of the stage I always refer to as kind of the ugly stage. The model doesn't look particularly great at this point. This is the time when you start questioning whether you know how to paint or not, and every decision you've made about your colour choice seems to have gone wrong. But it goes past that. You kind of got to trust the method a little bit. So once all my base colours are down, what I like to now do is throw some washes over it. Now the washes will do two things. It will add a lot of definition, and it'll also bring together some of the colours, essentially where you've got one colour up against another one. It'll just tidy up the differences as those two colours meet. So the first one I'm going to do is apply some Biltan Green, which is a nice green, quite a sort of vibrant green. That's going to go all over the skin. And then I'm going to probably apply a black colour over the gold parts, black wash over the silver, all over the gun, orange over the yellow, that kind of thing. So essentially matching colour to colour from what I've got here. So that's going to take a little while to dry, but it'll make a big difference to the model after that's done. Now you can see all those washes have nicely dried, and it's definitely given a lot of more definition. It brings out the detail a little bit more. So we're kind of past the ugly stage, but now we're kind of in the messy stage of the model. So what we now need to do is essentially bring up all these colours, return them a little bit closer to how we had the base colours, and then highlight up from there. So let's start with the face. So I'm going to take that original green that I laid down. You can also see on my palette I've got a little bit of white here. I'm going to start off just with the green, and I'm just going to go in and start highlighting up some of those areas, being careful to keep the shade in the recesses. So we want dark in the recesses, light everywhere else. And that is the face all finished. So what I'm going to do now is essentially go around the model and do the same thing. So I'm going to be layering back up all those colours, bringing in a bit more detail and putting in those final finishing little touches. Once I'm happy with the paint on the actual figure itself, I'm then going to come in and do the base, and for that I'm just going to dry brush a bunch of different colours. Then finally I will paint the rim of the base black. Here we go then, folks. Here is the final finished model. Quite pleased with how this guy turned out. A little bit tricky to paint at times. These old metal models, they don't have the sharpest of sort of details on there. Sometimes your painting has to kind of do a little bit of work that the molding, sculpting didn't do. But I think on the whole they still stand up pretty well. And as I say, they are a bit of fun to paint. Slightly challenging, but that can be a good thing at times. So I definitely think I've done my part for Orktober, and he's going to look great as a little addition to my Ork collection. So I think that'll just about do it, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.